hear on the radio a news bulletin that said that the largest or second largest nursing home in west of the Mississippi is being closed by the state. And the Great Panthers are suing to keep it open. And
For the residents.
and the law firm that was representing the Great Panthers was looking for a operator to come and operate the place. We were 12 months into working with the Live Oak Project in the Jewish Home, which was strictly about organizing the residents, although it had repercussions. And so I called the phone number that they had on it, that they gave. Anybody knows who can do this? And they gave the phone number, and I remembered the phone number, and I called them, and I said, I'd like to put together a management team to take over that place and make it home. Knowing nothing about the financing or anything like that. And the guy from the law firm got really excited, and he took a look at me, and with my long hair and my beard and my chamois shirt, which was my dress shirt and all that. And so I got Ben Abramovich, who was the administrator of the Jewish Home, to come in. And there was a receivership team appointed by the federal court, and the day after, and they brought us in to manage the place, although we never got any money from the receivership for that. It just wasn't in our consciousness. And Ben Abramovich came in, and the day that we went in there, it was like, we got this phone call, can you come in now? Like on a Friday. And the day that we went in there, the previous owners had taken every record, every medical record, every business record, and all the food, and fled. And this was a staff that was reputed to be the worst staff in the whole country. And it was Ben came in and Puri, Paula was the director of nurses at the Jewish Home. And we came in and we called everybody together, and we said, this is what we're about, this is what we want to do. And we want to
call the staff together.
The staff. And there's one guy there, he said, this is like I was in Vietnam, and this is what it must have felt like when the Americans were driven out, and couldn't believe that, and he was like the most avid spokesman. He worked in the kitchen, he became the chef, and we brought over food from the Jewish Home to get them through the weekend, and then arrangements were made for food to be delivered and all that, and Joni Burke was there, and the first thing that happened.
She wasn't Burke then.
She was Joni Peters, and she was our activity director, and we called together all the residents, and we had a community meeting with them.
And all the residents were like 80 people or more.
And it was a 400-bed home, but it was down to 104 people, I think. And they began to get involved. They said, this is our struggle. to save the place. And we came in on
Multicultural.
Friday. On Monday night, they said, the board of directors of the Home for Jewish Parents met, and they said to Ben, you can't do this. Instead of saying, what a great thing we could do for PR for the Jewish home to be sending its administrator part-time to the worst home in San Francisco to save the home. So the charge that we had from the bankruptcy court was to stabilize the home while it was closed, or if it was possible to find a way to keep it open. But they didn't expect that to happen. But that was our goal, to see that happen. And so the Jewish home cut us off from Bob, from Ben and Paula, but they were available in the evenings. And Bill Segesta, I asked Bill Segesta to come in, my friend Bill Segesta, to manage the home. And he was a lawyer, he had never done that before, but he came in and he just organized the administrative part of it. And there were 2 state inspectors in the home. And the energy was transformed. The energy center was created among the residents. And it was transformative because the residents got strong. And it happened really quickly. They had meaning in their lives. And these state inspectors, they had a list of page after page after page after page of non-compliances, and every day they would be crossing them off their list. It was amazing, and they couldn't believe what was happening in the home. And the staff that was the worst staff, reputedly, suddenly became the best staff. And it was like a miracle.
They were demoralized.
They had been demoralized, but now they were energized. They were spirited. And so, in the meantime, I'm trying, and Bob's trying to get the support to keep the place open. So we go to see this labor, the guy who headed the Longshoremen's Union.
You left me out.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh.
At some point in the whole process, Debbie said to me, look, honey, we're only married for not even 9 months, and you leave at 6 o'clock in the morning and you get home at midnight. This doesn't feel right to me. And I said, Debbie, I need your help. I'm in over my head. Can you take your guitar and come to the meeting, come to the home every day and help us with the meeting? And Debbie figured out the bus route and took the bus to the BART and the BART to San Francisco and then
to the Muni.
And then the Muni and then the bus and she made her way there every morning with her guitar. And really energized the group. And one of the things that happened was that she saw a man who hadn't walked in years get up out of his wheelchair and start to dance at a community meeting.
Well, he walked to the middle of the circle.
Walked to the middle of the circle. And one of the things that happened was, the residents would have name tags that they'd come downstairs because we didn't know everybody's names. And one day this woman is wheeled off the elevator. It had 7 stories in the building. And she's wheeled off the elevator and
beautiful black woman.
Beautiful black woman. Turned out that
108 years old.
She was 108 years old. This was 1978, meaning that she was born in 1870 in Alabama, the daughter of slaves. And she had this name tag that said Amanda. And she was in that halfway zone between this world and the world to come. And she's saying, it's good. It's good.
No, she was saying, when your heart.
Oh, that's
when
right.
Your heart.
When your
no, she
heart
wasn't.
is good.
She was saying.
When you.
Excuse me. She was
Go
saying,
ahead. Could you?
when your heart is good, when your heart is good, when your heart is good, you're all right, when you're.
Just repeating it again and again and again.
And her face was just shining, and she was shining, and she had this beautiful glow. And I said, Amanda, that is a beautiful song. Can I put some music to that and we teach it to everybody? I introduced myself first, Debbie, and she said, when your heart is good, when your heart is good, you're all right. And she smiled at me with such a smile that I knew that was yes. I just knew it was yes. And so we went in and introduced Amanda with the help of some of the nurse aides, and then
Who told you her history?
Who told the history, yes. And then we sang.
And so what did you sing, Debbie?
And then we sang, when your heart is good, or when your heart is good, when your heart is good, you're all right. And we kept singing that like a chant over and over, and people would clap, and it was wonderful.
And then a few days later she was saying,
every day she had a new chant
well,
for me.
give out your light, take your heaven-bound soul and give out your light. And you put that one to music.
Mm-hmm.
And then another day she sang,
it's good to praise the Lord.
It's good.
It's good to praise the Lord. She said, it's good to praise the Lord. All God's children praise the Lord. He's worthy to be praised. And I said, He's good. It's good to praise the Lord. I said, it's good, so good to praise the Lord. It's good to praise the Lord. It's good, so good, it's good to praise the Lord. All God's children praise the Lord. All God's children praise the Lord. All God's children praise the Lord. He's worthy to be praised. All God's children praise the Lord. All God's children praise the Lord. All God's children praise the Lord. He's worthy to be praised, 'cause it's good. It's good to praise the Lord. I said it's good, so good to praise the Lord.
We have this picture of one woman sitting in front of a hand-scrawled sign on the wall, sitting in her wheelchair.
Picture's right in there.
And the sign says, "This is a home, not a hospital." And so there was one woman, a wonderful, wonderful attorney working for the law firm. The law firm is called Public Advocates. And what a crazy place that was. It was almost everybody involved had worked for Jerry Brown and had turned on Jerry Brown. And all they wanted to do was embarrass Jerry Brown. That was their big thing. They would laugh about that. It always came up in our meetings that we had. But there was this woman, Angela Blackwell. She was really, really wonderful attorney with them. And she had these buttons printed up saying, "When your heart is good." save Post Street. And so like Bob and I, we went to see the head of the Longshoremen's Union saying, hey, this is an important issue, we need your support, and he shined us on. And we saw various other people, and we weren't making traction. You know, we had a, what we needed was, we had 6 months of 6 weeks of a receivership, at which time we had to figure out how to keep the place open or help them close it. And so we were really on that tightrope, you know, and so as it's getting closer and closer, different people begin to show up. There was one guy who showed up in the community, and he had a friend come out who just happened to be on the staff of the House Committee on Aging, House Subcommittee on Aging. And it was, I don't remember, it was John Burton or Phil Burton. Both of them were brothers, and they were both in the House. But one of them was the chair of that committee. And so the clock is running down. I'm in meetings with people from Mount Zion Hospital who are trying to be helpful, which was around the corner from the place. And I'm in this meeting with the guy who heads public advocates, and he says, well, we need somebody to, basically he said, we need a villain in all of this, you know, to get the energy to save the place. He didn't quite use that language, but that's what he was saying. And he said, it's Mount Zion Hospital. Mount Zion Hospital wants the place closed so that they can take it over. I said, no. We have a story here of a great success happening. This is what we have to build on, is this story. And I left his office and figured, okay, we'll keep talking about it. 3 o'clock that afternoon, he called a news conference and attacked Mount Zion Hospital as the culprit. Okay, so at the time we were funded by the San Francisco Foundation and the Evelyn and Walter Haas Foundation. Now, the chairman of the board of the Evelyn and Walter of the San Francisco Foundation, they didn't call the chairman of the board at the time. She was the head of the distribution committee, was the president of Mount Zion Hospital. Mm. She was also the sister of Walter J. Haas, and sat on the board of the Evelyn and Walter Haas Jr. Fund. And so not long after that, I guess it was after the place closed, I got a call from the head of the San Francisco Foundation saying, I need a letter from you saying no San Francisco Foundation funds were used in this Post Street thing. And shortly thereafter, you know, I felt the Haas fund begin to ice up on me, and I knew what was going. I didn't realize what was going. I wasn't sophisticated enough to put the pieces together until a while later. But then, so at some point it became clear that we were, Prop 13 passed right in the middle of this. And that threw the whole financing of the state government at risk.
Plus, when the people were moved,
this was before they were moved.
Right, I know, Prop 13.
Prop 13 passed. And so I'm on the phone with a guy who became a federal judge. And he was the something Klein was his name. And he was the chief of staff of Governor Brown. And I'm trying to convince him in sane terms that we need a boost of our daily Medi-Cal rate to be able to stabilize the place and figure out how to organize a new ownership model for the place. And it's like I'm talking to the wall, and suddenly I say to him, don't you fucking understand what's happening here? 70% of the people are gonna be dead in 6 months after they leave because of transfer trauma. He said, don't you fucking understand what's happening here right back at me? He said, I have to choose between giving you that money and closing 3 swimming pools in Watts this summer, 1968. So in the meantime, so it became really clear the place was going to close. And so the State Department of Social Services and the City Department of Social Services were coming in and going and interviewing everybody. And the interviews were a sham, and there were no beds available for like 50 to 100 miles from the place. And I complained. I wrote a letter complaining to the lawyer in charge of the law firm that was doing the law firm that was doing the
bankruptcy.
The what's
receivership.
The receivership law firm, saying that the whole process was a sham and they were being abusive to the people and they weren't listening to them in their interviews. And I got a call 2 days later from the woman in the receivership team, the receiver lawyer in that firm in charge of the receivership, reaming me from one side to the other, saying, how dare you attack these people? They're doing the best they can, and blah, blah, blah. And if it happens again, she said, I will not be allowed back in the building. Serendipitously, the guy she was living with was another attorney who spoke Greek. He was Greek. And they needed a Greek translator for a resident. Somehow or other got put together, and he went in to translate for them. And he reported to her exactly what I complained about. And so I was safe in that way, but they were starting to move people out. It was heartbreaking. And the staff held. They stayed to the end, to the last person. Yeah. And one of the things that we said was that 65 to 70% of the people would be dead in 6 months. And so we want to come up with the antidote to that problem. So I used the Haas Foundation money after checking with the guy who had the foundation at the time for Debbie and Joni to follow the people from home to home and to do a community meeting and a roadshow, basically saying, this is Mr. So-and-so, he was at Post Street, and telling the story of Post Street so that he could bond with the people and they'd be a simpatico with them, and to introduce the community meetings in those homes where they went. And somebody in the city Department of Social Services got wind of what was going on. And they told all the homes that we were bad people were dangerous to the people. And all the homes that we were in would let Debbie and Joni go do it anymore.
We did it for how long?
Oh, you did maybe a month or so. It was beautiful.
A couple months.
In the meantime, Joni took you to all these shops in the rest of the world of being fashionable from after all these years of hippie clothing and all that. Joni did a makeover with you. Yeah. But that's an aside. So like as it was closing,
God, you're telling details I had forgotten.
as it was closing, I got a call from this guy, Ralph Reimers, whose father was a famous rabbi. He was somebody who Reb Zalman knew. Rabbi Reimer was his name, from maybe Dayton or someplace. He was a very progressive, I think, conservative rabbi. And I'm not even sure his name was Ralph at this moment. Do you remember? He worked for the House Committee on Aging, and he said, we want to come and do a hearing at the home
That was
about,
John Burton, wasn't it?
yeah, about the travesty of the closing of the home. So he asked me who to line up, and I lined up people for the hearing.
And Mayor Moscone.
And Mayor Moscone came and testified, and Mayor Moscone said,
And the fellow who was there, someone else who was like the civic.
it may have been the head of the city council. I don't know. There were a lot of heavyweights who came, and the morning of the hearing, I was approached by the guy who was the union rep, who I never saw. I kept asking him for help. I never got any action from him. He said, "I'd like to testify," and I just said, "Go! You want to do it? Do it." You know, I said, I never saw you around here, but it's right. You should testify, because we're pro-union, and Mayor Moscone said, in 6 weeks' time, they have taken this place from the worst place in the country to the equal of the city-run Laguna Honda Hospital, which is known for its quality. Their quality of care is now on that level, and all we need from the state is 10 lousy bucks a day, a thin dime for each person to keep this place open, and we could have kept it open. And what a travesty it was that they wouldn't give us that thin dime every day. It was amazing. It was just amazing. I've got somewhere we have the proceedings of that hearing.
We've got
So,
pictures of Post Street. Those big,
the place
big
closed.
pictures.
Mount Zion Hospital was not interested in taking it over. In fact, they were struggling to keep it going what they had. The building was vacant for a few years, and then the dental school around the corner took it over and turned it into a dormitory. And but another thing that happened was that Ben brought around a guy from USC, and he saw what was happening there, and he just was blown away by it. He was from the USC School of Gerontology. And he arranged for a team from USC to hook up with our funding agency to do an evaluation of our program at the Jewish Home. And so they did an evaluation of our program at the Jewish Home, and they said that the oft-stated boast by the heads of the project, Live Oak Project, that they intend to change the nature of aging in America may not be far-fetched. But what we need to do is focus on management. Fool that I was, I only focused on the far-fetched on that would not be far-fetched part, and not realize they were right. They were right. This is my weak spot, Bob wasn't so great at it either, actually. He was better than I was. But Mira Khan. So anyway, so Bill Segesta was a friend of Judy Brown, who was the person who worked for the receiver, the receivership lawyer, in charge of that caper, and she did a survey after 6 months afterwards of what happened to the people who moved out, and 70% of them were dead from transfer trauma. I mean, they had other diagnoses, but it was transfer trauma. One of the things that we were criticized for was giving the residents a false hope. But I don't think we gave them false hope. We were very clear that the place could be closed, and this was the last-ditch effort to save the place.
It became like everybody getting together, and also volunteers. Volunteers and family members, and everybody working together to save the place. Real community effort.
And I will say there's one other thing, because about the philanthropic community, there was a guy there named Bill Shapiro, who was the head of there was a blue ribbon panel that was appointed from Mount Zion and other places to try and keep the place open, that I was part of. And somehow or other we had a conversation after the place closed. And I told him about that thing with public advocates, about how crazy they were in terms of this. And he sent us that Christmas $30,000 worth of Levi Strauss stock. That's going for the next year. And through his wife's family foundation, they funded us for a few years. So, interesting.
That's the story.
I could have been a contender, we could have been a contender, we could have been somebody.
But it is also how I got involved in this work that I was in for so many years. Because it was so engaging, and I saw so many changes with people, and it was so kind of thrilling to see people have hope and get better, and the changes of the staff, that I decided this is what I was going to do. I wasn't going to go back to teaching preschoolers. I was going to work with Barry and help Barry do this work. It was definitely changed me.
And that it changed you. What happened is that we did something that people say you can't do and pull off. We worked together for all these years, and we didn't get divorced.
Yet.
Yes.